Boom! Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Fantasy Wildcard Dynasty Show. I'm Mags. I'm your host for this wonderful, wonderful Dynasty Fantasy Football experience you're about to take in. I'm joined with the best two co-hosts a guy could wish for. It's the best three from the Fantasy Wildcard team. I've got Ali, the grill himself, and Ali, where you're living right now, it is a bit like a grill, right? It's very, very hot.
It is hot, yeah, very, very hot. Just uncomfortably hot, and it's nothing to do with the massive trade and the sort of the fantasy headlines that have gone on this week. It is just unfathomably hot and sticky, but we look forward to tonight's show because it's a big one. We look forward to this every single year, planting our flags, and yeah, this is serious stuff.
James, your first flag plant on the wildcard team. Are you feeling the nerves?
Not necessarily nerves. I think I said this on the last show that I was on. Hopefully there's not too many hot takes because, like Ali said, it's ridiculously hot at the moment. I think there might be a couple of cold takes that might cool us down, but yeah, looking forward to it. Always listen to the Flag Plant show that you guys do. So yeah, great to be involved.
Yeah, I can't wait to get going. It's much cooler up where I am, which is fantastic. Up in not so sunny Scotland. But it's very, very tolerable, which is great. Now, boys, I got a host question for you before we kick it off. I'm getting married next week, which is wild. Next week. One of the courses that we have, the main course, is a sort of uncarved, like nice little bit of beef. And I'm saying, I don't care what anyone says, medium rare is the highest I'm willing to go. What is your preferred steak cooking preference? And do you have any sides? Tell me about steak, Ali. What do you like to do?
Yeah, I mean, anything up to a medium. If you give me something well done and I've got to chew it for 20 minutes, I don't want that in my mouth. I want something that's just going to fall off the bone and just melt in my mouth. It needs to be a little bit pink, but not too pink. Nicely seasoned. But other than that, I don't really go or care too much for the sauce or anything like that. Just give me the steak pure with a little bit of seasoning on top, a little bit pink. And yeah, I'm happy.
Beautiful, beautiful. James?
Yeah, medium rare. I think, like you said, if you're the one paying for it all, surely you get to choose how it's cooked, right? So yeah, medium rare all around. I think you need it. So there's a little bit of juice coming out. So you've got your chips there. They can soak up a bit of the moisture, make it all taste a bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm bumping. I usually go for rare myself, so I bumped it up. I feel like I'm doing a good service for everyone. You know,
Yeah.
I bumped it up to the medium rare. Although the table, my parents and family, I've asked for them to have a well done one because they're old and Irish, so they're like that generation. So that's what they'll be getting. And boys, I don't know what's more exciting, the talk about steak or the talk of these trades that have rocked the fantasy football world. We got Arthur Smith's biggest love, Johnny. Maybe they're like secretly related. I don't know. Johnny Smith. He has been reunited with Arthur, and not only will Arthur Smith ruin Kyle Pitts and all of his dreams, but he's using Johnny to go after Pat Freiermuth as well. Ali, we love Postman Pat on this show, but RIP.
Yeah, it's not great, to be honest, because I think the real winners are the sort of the dynasty managers that have a share of Brock Bowers or Trey McBride, one of the top 2 or 3, because really you're sort of scratching around for players that can get up to that level. And obviously Johnny Smith, tight end 4 finish last season, was someone that you were hoping again was going to have a similar sort of role for Miami. Obviously that's now not going to happen. Very low volume offense he's going to in Pittsburgh, which, you know, Pat Freiermuth again was someone that I was targeting as a late round tight end. So it's just 2 birds with one stone, completely tanked both of their sort of dynasty value. And yeah, just absolutely in tatters a couple of my dynasty teams that maybe were relying on a bit of production from these two. But yeah, it's definitely RIP to that. and yeah, not great in general, to be honest.
No, and James, if any of your teams are like, at least you can pick up superstar Darren Waller off the wire and all of your.
Yeah, those waiver bids are going to be over the top, aren't they, for Waller in the morning? I have one league where the waivers ran at 7, so he's already been picked up somewhere. I think it was only $11 on that one, but yeah, we're going to see 50 plus, aren't we? I think for Waller in the morning.
What's the over under on the week Darren Waller gets put out for the season? I'm going to say week 3. Right, week 3, and then everyone's wanting all their fab back. Yeah, so yeah, or you get picked up. This is the move everyone's going to see. Darren Waller gets picked up immediately. Put on the trade block. People demanding a second for Darren Waller. That's coming, and he'll just sit in the roster until he's dropped again. If you can get anything for Darren Waller, do it right now as soon as possible. So, boys, let's move on to some more interesting questions. Who knows? Maybe Darren Waller's going to be a flag plant for who I severely doubted, though. We're going to go through the players that we think are going to have an absolutely tremendous season coming up next year. And we're just going to talk a little bit about why you should pick them up at home. So welcome along for the journey. If you're watching, hey, why don't leave a little comment, say hi. We don't get too many comments over on the old YouTube. Nice to say hello if you're watching over there or on Twitter or wherever you are. Leave us your flag plant for the year. That'll be absolutely great. Let's go. James, it's the first time you're doing this, so we thought we'd let you go first. And quite relevant, the player that you've chosen, right?
Yeah, I thought I'd pick up on the big news out of the Dolphins yesterday. I wouldn't say I'm like the highest dynasty manager in the world on Jalen Waddle, but I think with this news kind of helps him a little bit, and I think what it has done is it's sort of closed sort of a buy window on him anyway. Like if anyone was sort of looking to buy him on the cheap, then this is the kind of news that kind of just closes that window for you. But yeah, like I said, I'm not necessarily the highest on him, but I was beginning to get a little bit offended by how he was being valued. So I have a Dynasty Superflex League, which I started last year, and I drafted him in the 4th round of the startup. And just about a week or 2 ago, someone offered me a second for him, and it was like then I rejected it obviously straight away, and I was like, "There's no point countering because that's never happening." And they're like, "Oh, what would it take to get one?" I was like, "You're not going to pay me what it's going to take to get him off my roster, because no one's paying you a first for him a couple of weeks ago." So yeah, I'm not someone that maybe it's not necessarily a flag plant, but just someone that I just thought was being so undervalued, and it became a bit offensive, particularly if you're someone that was high on him and drafted him in the 4th round startup, or even he would have been going even earlier than that a couple of years ago, probably talking 2nd round of startups. Obviously, last year was a pretty bad year for Waddle and the Dolphins in general. They kind of, Jonnu Smith had that role that we hadn't seen before from a tight end on the Dolphins offense, and I think that was a lot of that was due to just the Tua health issues, and the sort of the lack of trust in him after he went down with that concussion again, and the offense changed a little bit. The ball was coming out even quicker than before. It was going to the tight ends way more than we've seen in the past, and there was sort of a lack of involvement from Waddle. But if we go back, we are going back a few years, but if we go back to 2022, which was Tyreek Hill's first year in Miami, Waddle was the wide receiver 8 on the season. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen again this year, but that sort of shows you the potential, even with Tyreek Hill there. And I saw a tweet from John Daigle, and Waddle had a 25% target share when him and Tyreek Hill were on the field and Jonnu wasn't. So if that's the kind of thing we're looking at, then you can easily see some sort of positive regression from him. Like I said, it's not going to be that wide receiver 8 again, but he comfortably could be a wide receiver 2. And we're not even going to talk about that Tyreek Hill was maybe washed and might not be around any longer. I think I looked yesterday and he was on Keep Trade Cut, he was a wide receiver 27. I wouldn't be surprised if that's changed already, and it will keep going up, and hopefully it continues to go up throughout the season as he sort of gets back to where he was a few years ago.
Yeah, Waddle for me, Adley, I don't know if you noticed this as well. So all off season, a lot of people were preaching about how Jalen Waddle is your quintessential like buy now player for Dynasty, but it almost got to the point where he couldn't be bought because everyone was like, get him at a discount, but then everyone was trying to get him a discount, including the people that owned him, and they were like, well, why would I sell you? I'm trying to buy him for a discount in other places. Why would I sell you him for the discount? So he was actually almost impossible to buy because everyone was trying to buy him. Did you notice that about Jalen Waddle?
Yeah. Worst kept secret, really. I'm going to come on to a guy who seems to be this year's version of that. But yeah, definitely with Jalen Waddle, with the production that he's had, his rookie season, the offense that he's in, clearly Tyreek Hill is an absolute diva. We never know what's going to happen with him. And, once he does either retire or move on, then Jalen Waddle is just going to explode. So people are putting 2 and 2 together, the talent and the situation, and just saying, yeah, I want to buy him. I'm not going to sell him on the cheap. So you've got no chance of buying him from me unless you pay over the odds. So yeah, completely agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jalen Waddle, an excellent pick for the flag plant. Now, Ali, you did tease that there is a similar version. I don't think that your next player is that, but he's still an excellent player for a flag plant. Who you got?
Yeah, so this is actually a guy that I've just sold this week in Dynasty. Ooh. So a bit of an odd flag plant, but a guy approached me, not going to name him, but offered me a couple of seconds for Josh Downs. I think he's sort of my wide receiver 5 on my team. I kind of think that was sort of fair value, but then I was trying to push for a bit more, and I said, look, if you offer me a first, I will just insta accept it. So 26 first is projected sort of the latter half, but I think I'm happy with that. But yeah, I am sort of at the same time predicting Josh Downs could break out in 2025. We look at the quarterback situation, which, on paper is not amazing, but I think it will be improved from 2024, especially when, Anthony Richardson seems to be, he's obviously injured at the minute, and Daniel Jones has got a foot up on him. So you're hoping for the pass catchers there that Daniel Jones wins that job for the season and can hold on to it. And yeah, I just looked at his season sort of last year, and the Giants. Can you boys tell me how many targets? I looked at this stat earlier. Wan'Dale Robinson had last year in 2024. It was
too many.
It was far too. It was 140 targets for Wan'Dale Robinson. Whoa. It was basically at the line of scrimmage every single time, and it was not great. But it just shows that he can be targeted like that. And I think Josh Downs is going to have a similar role in the Colts offense in 2025. Himself had 107 targets in 2024, sort of gone under the radar. I think it's because he didn't score a lot of touchdowns. He doesn't break off big plays. He's sort of that unfashionable receiver that just moves the chains, sort of gets 7 or 8 yards every time per catch, and then sits down and, doesn't exactly ignite the scoreboard. But I think that could change in 2025. And I really like a lot of the stats that I've been seeing recently from last season. So Matt Harmon's brilliant reception perception, his success rate by route is just an absolute sea of green. So a couple of the stats: 86% success rate versus zone, which is 92nd percentile, and not too lesser, 76.7% success rate versus man as well. So that was 90th percentile. Just shows how good he was playing, and it's just gone completely under the radar because the passing offense absolutely stunk for the Colts. If you take away what Joe Flacco was able to do in his limited games that he had there. His target rate, which looks at targets per route run, is elite. Is 29.6%, which is the 6th best NFL wide receiver in 2024. His target share was 25.6%. Again, that goes under the radar. That was 19th most for a wide receiver, and almost 400 yards after the catch as well. So that was 17th best in the NFL. So I just think that there's a chance that Josh Downs is going to be the number 1 wide receiver for the Colts this year in an improved passing offense. He's currently wide receiver 38 on keep trade cut, so I think there is some value there. And then I looked at, who else has he got to compete with? Obviously, they've drafted Tyler Warren, who's sort of going to play in a similar position on the field. But then you've got Michael Pittman, who, yeah, he did sign that big contract, but after this season, they can cut him for just 5 million dead cap hit in 2025. Well, it will be 2026. If they do keep him on the team, they owe him $29 million. So he's going to have to really show out this year for them to keep him or give him a contract extension. And then Alec Pierce as well, who scored quite a few touchdowns last year, was part of the offense. He's an unrestricted free agent in 2025 as well. So I think putting 2 and 2 together, there's a chance that Josh Downs is number 1 wide receiver, and he could be ranked, a back end wide receiver 2 for Dynasty in a year's time if everything goes right for him.
This is one where it's kind of like everything has to go right for Josh Downs, right? It's everything. But it makes it a really interesting flag plant because unlike who we just spoke about earlier with Jalen Waddle, you described him as the worst kept secret. It's almost like Downs is the reverse of that. It's like, is he maybe the best kept secret? Because you're right. All those things can definitely play a role and happen, but he has a couple of obstacles. I think a lot of people maybe play Dynasty too short term. So it could be that maybe he doesn't, break out this year, but if they have a change of quarterback, then Josh Downs has the ability to become a quarterback's best friend like he was for Drake Bay when he was back in college. We know that he has that elite production. So I can see Josh Downs being a real friendly face to throw to for Daniel Jones for sure. Like you mentioned, that Wan'Dale Robinson. So I can see it happening. It's a brave pick, but if it pulls off, Ali, you're going to look like an absolute genius for the Josh Downs pick. James, do you like the Josh Downs one? Although I'm sad for Michael Pittman. He's my boy.
Yeah, I think I'm similar to you. I struggle a little bit where I like them both. So I don't really want to say that the Josh Downs pick is a great pick because it probably means bad things for Michael Pittman, sort of medium to long term. Josh Downs is someone that I think I drafted him in the first round of a pre-NFL draft, rookie draft. So I was obviously fairly high on him. I took him in, I think it's about pick 9 or 10. Obviously, once he got drafted, that was nowhere near where he was going. But I definitely like to see him, sort of break out. And I think I've got enough shares of him that it would be beneficial for me if he did. But like that quarterback situation is just. It's just you just never know what's going to happen this year. I think, like you said, maybe he's a perfect buy for like a rebuilding team, and he has like a little mini breakout, and then you're sort of happy to be starting him in 2026, and he's one of your sort of starting lineup then. But I'm not sure how confident I am this year. But I love the player.
Absolutely. Speaking of players we love, guys, it's that time of the week again. It's a time where I talk about RJ Harvey, and this is going to be the last big sound off that I have because I talk about him so much. So most of the time I just talk about how I love him and like what I think he's going to do. Today I thought, you know what, it's a flag plant show. Let me dust off the old stat book, which isn't something I do a lot, but I'm going to try and really give you the hard sell. I know you don't need it, but I'm going to try and give you the real hard sell on RJ Harvey. So pull up a pew, pour a cup of coffee, and let's go, because I'm so excited for this guy to be matched up with Sean Payton in particular, because Sean Payton has proven time and time again that if you're the number 1 running back in his system, it is just an absolute goldmine for fantasy football. And you don't even have to be an excellent rusher for that to happen. We've seen Alvin Kamara do it time and time again. Even when he was sharing with Mark Ingram all those years ago, we've seen that he was still a high-end PPR fantasy running back. And it's been like that, was it 5-6 years Kamara and Sean Payton were together. And let's not pretend like Alvin Kamara was some first round, absolute nailed on stud. There were more question marks about Alvin Kamara coming into the league than there are about RJ Harvey. I would even go as far to say Alvin Kamara, 3rd round pick. RJ Harvey has better draft capital. He has more production from his college days as well as Alvin Kamara does. He's a better rusher than Alvin Kamara. I know people don't like to say that. He's probably a better rusher than Alvin Kamara. Certainly was a better rusher than Alvin Kamara coming out of college, for sure. So Payton, even if RJ Harvey, for whatever reason, is going to play in a committee, I still think that he's going to finish as a high-end running back too. But I don't expect him to play in the committee. I think he's going to steal that job for himself. We have a look at what Alvin Kamara did, his average, not just high end, low end, he averaged over 80 catches a season under Sean Payton, which is absolutely amazing. So that is sort of the mid where you would expect RJ Harvey to be. And that was on a team that was really good. Think about how many catches Michael Thomas had as well in there. Like, and Alvin Kamara still managed to get 80 catches on average. The Broncos don't really have that Michael Thomas target hog wide receiver. So I can see RJ Harvey really, really getting in there and stealing some targets off those receivers. You think about the touchdowns, obviously the famous Christmas game where he had 6 touchdowns as well. So we know that Peyton's not afraid to use those kind of backs on the goal line. Kamara is not the biggest back in the world, but he was still allowed to do that on the goal line. And you just look at them side by side. Kamara is an inch taller and 5 pounds heavier coming out of college. They're very, very similar. It's quite obvious that he's really zoned in on RJ Harvey and gone, this is the guy that can be Alvin Kamara. Like, for me, it's an absolute no-brainer that this can absolutely work. And we talked about the rushes. You know, Kamara coming out of college, he never had more. He didn't have 200 rushes coming out of college. RJ Harvey's more proven as that. So we could see him get that running work more than Alvin Kamara did as soon as he came in. If you look at best case scenario, RJ Harvey, top 5 running back, best case scenario. I think he can really crack that and do that. If you look at realistic, I think he could realistically, you tell me RJ Harvey's going to finish as running back 12 on the year. I think that's not too far off the realms of realistic, because he's going to catch the passes. He's going to get the rushes. He's going to get everything that you want your running back to get. If you want to be cautious, does Samaje Perine take off a little bit of edge? Does Jalen McLaughlin take off a bit of edge? Yes, maybe, but we've still seen that in a committee. Sean Payton can produce high-end running back 2s. So I think that is the floor for RJ Harvey, is your high-end to mid-end running back 2. And the ceiling is top 5 running back in his rookie year. Guys, I don't know if lightning strikes twice, but if it's going to, I'm going to be the guy standing with a big metal rod in my hand, holding it up, hoping that RJ Harvey is the second coming of Alvin Kamara. I love this guy. I'm planting my flag. It's a large metal one, and the lightning's going to hit it. It's happening.
Yeah. I don't think we need to say anything, do we, Ali? Max is at his time. He's spoken about him enough.
So we're all fans of RJ Harvey. I think that the best thing about it as well is the fact that you can actually get him at a slight discount now because of obviously J.K. Dobbins, and they think that he's going to take, a chunk of the role away from him, but he's not. He's just there for backup. The Broncos are a team that can go all the way, so I think that's just insurance. And yeah, definitely all in for RJ Harvey. He wasn't going anywhere past the 110 in rookie drafts when I was in it, because I was taking him there. So yeah, love the pick.
Thank you very much, James. I really like your next pick as well, because one of the more talented running backs that we've just not seen, on the field enough, I don't think. So tell us why you've chosen Kenneth Walker as your second flag plant.
Yeah, like you said, it's always been, the talent's always been there with Kenneth Walker. There's just been sort of those niggling injuries. For me this season, we've referenced Alvin Kamara on your last on your flag plant there with RJ Harvey, and I kind of mentioned him a little bit with this one because obviously Clint Kubiak comes over from the Saints as the new offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, and obviously they had that historical 2-game start of the season under Kubiak. Saints did, and yeah, I don't know if he's going to be the savior of the Seahawks offense. That offensive line has been terrible ever since I can remember. And the jury is definitely still out as to whether it's going to be any better this season. But I think I just have a little bit more trust in sort of the new coaching staff to figure it out than I did the old. And we saw Alvin Kamara really get back to that top end RB1 this past season with Kubiak as his offensive coordinator. So I think sort of the murmurings around sort of the off season have been, Kenneth Walker, what kind of role he's going to have. I'm obviously not as high on the quarterback this season with Geno going and Darnold coming in. But if anything, I think that just means we're going to see more Kenneth Walker. I think I've got a nice stat here, courtesy of Ali on Twitter. I think it was towards the beginning of June. Walker was the running back 9 in points per game through the first 9 weeks of the season. He was getting way more targets than he sort of in the past. I think he hit career highs in targets and receptions. And then just after that, I think it was the week 10 bye, week 9 bye, he really dropped off again. I think he was sort of averaging like 3.7 yards per carry, which is not something I want to be sort of talking about too much as a flag plant. But I just kind of think that he's dropped to like running back 16 and keep trade cut. He's going the sort of 5th round in redraft this year, and I just think that it's just too low. For me, he's still a back-end running back 1. In your listener leagues, Mags the Hot Seat listener leagues, I took him as my first running back, but he was the 20th running back drafted. And it just feels, the value just feels too good. I'm really expecting a bounce-back season. Hopefully the new sort of offensive coaching turn that offense around a little bit. The running backs have, can sort of be scoring more touchdowns, basically, is what we're looking for. Obviously, more catches, touchdowns. And I feel like that's on the horizon. And Kenneth Walker, like I said, is just such a talented player that if he stays fit, then that running back 20 that I got him at is going to look like such a huge value.
I'm a huge fan of him. I just want him to stay fit and healthy the whole season long. Ali, obviously, you put out that tweet with that stat, meaning you like Kenneth Walker too, I'm presuming.
Yeah, I think that he's someone that can easily outperform where he's being ranked. He's just health related, because I think that team wants to run the ball, and when they do, and when he's absolutely 100% healthy, they do it effectively. I absolutely love this pick. God willing that he stays healthy, because I bought a share of him this off season, and I think it cost me a 2nd and a 3rd or something like that, and I was just happy to take the gamble on him, just because I think that the range of outcome, I think he can be, if he finished RB9, RB8 this year and stayed healthy, I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever.
Yeah, neither would I. If he stays healthy, he's definitely got that in the tank for sure. And we teased this earlier, Ali. I believe, looking at the show sheet, is this the guy you were referring to as the obvious buy right now contender, or is it your third guy on that list? I think it might be this guy. You want to talk about him?
Well, I think this guy is not everybody's going to be have him as someone that they want to buy, just because I think that it takes a massive set of balls to buy this guy right now in Chris Olave, because I think that his price point is fair. I think it's cheap. It's cheaper than what I think it should be. But I think that some people will see his price and think that that's probably fair, and that there is risk obviously involved with trading for Olave or having Olave on your dynasty team right now. Wide receiver 30 on keep trade cut. So I think that is fair right now, but I think that has the scope to go into the top 20, which would equal where his talent should be. I think this is someone that can absolutely push for 150 targets in 2025. You look at the Saints, and in real life point of view, I love the fact that they should be crap this year, but for fantasy, obviously it's not great, and there's not massive competition for him. We've got obviously the old Rewind's mascot, Rashid Shaheed, who we absolutely love, who was absolutely bossing it in 2024 before injury. He's coming back. He's obviously that deep threat guy, so he's not a massive target hog or volume guy. They've brought Brandon Cooks back. The corpse of Brandon Cooks, I mean, God knows where he's even been the last 5 years. He's definitely not a thing anymore. So, I'm excited. Kellen Moore coming across to be the new head coach. Looking into his stats, he's a proper yak guy. So he's been top 10 in yards after catch per reception every single season that he's called plays, and that included last year at the Eagles. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl. They had, passing volume was low, but they had so much yak with their guys, and he just gets guys into position to win, whether it's being in the slot, mix them up, line them up, all over. So really excited to see what he can do with Chris Olave, who's super talented, as we know. it's just staying healthy for him with those concussions. A lot of people have forgotten that the first 2 seasons for Chris Olave were really, really good, both over 1,000 yards, including his rookie season, which was his best. I think they're just long forgotten. But this is still a really young guy. He's only 25 now. The Saints have picked up his 5th-year option nice and early, so we've still got 2 more seasons in this system. And looking today, there's a cool stat by Ian Hartitz looking at rookie seasons. So this is all-time most yards per route run by a rookie wide receiver since 2014. 2014. So 10 years worth of data. There's only 6 players that were ahead of Chris Olave. And I mean, these are all destined for the Hall of Fame. You've got OBJ, AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, Puka, Jamar Chase, and Brian Thomas Jr. So that is a great cast of players to be in there with. Yeah, I really like where he's been ranked right now. He's been ranked sort of outside players like DJ Moore, who I think is a fine wide receiver, but I think he's in a difficult position where he could now slowly move down the rankings, where Chris Olave's got the ability to go up with age and with talent. I think if he has a decent season, you could easily see him being inside the top 24, which is outside of where he is at the minute. So yeah, really like Chris Olave. I think that if he can stay healthy, he's definitely one of my flag plants.
Yeah, absolutely love it. James, what do you think about Chris Olave? Nice flag plant or no?
Yeah, it's always going to be a nice flag plant when you've got that stud Tyler Shuck throwing you the ball, right?
Love that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Your favorite. Yeah, I'm an Olave fan as well. Kind of similar to Ali's previous pick. The quarterback situation makes me nervous. Yeah, no matter what I say about Shaka, I'm not really sure what's going to go on in New Orleans this season. I'm really happy to be buying him for like DJ Moore kind of values, though. Yeah, even if that means I don't get much out of him this year, and I'm looking for the next few seasons, that's the kind of value I'm really interested in him for. Yeah, he's one of those where I think you probably have 2 camps. You have a camp of people that were really big fans of Olave when he came into the league, and they're kind of still holding him at that wide receiver 15 to 20 range in terms of valuation. And then you've got like the keep trade cut people that look at that and see him as, based on his production, that he's down at wide receiver 30. I'm probably somewhere in the middle, but yeah, that means I'm more than happy to buy him if I can get him for someone like DJ Moore.
Yeah, absolutely love that for Chris Olave for sure. And let's move on to my second one. A guy I'm not sure I've spoke about too often on the show, but certainly someone, if you're in any leagues with me, you'll have seen I've scooped up Stephon Diggs here, there, and absolutely everywhere, because at the price point he's going right now, I think he's ready to have another phenomenal season, just like Stephon Diggs does. We know that this guy has been an elite asset for fantasy football for years now. You go back to his time at the Bills, like from 2020 to even all the way up to 2023, was always a wide receiver 7 or better. Even when he got injured in 2023, he was on pace to be the wide receiver 3. So Stephon Diggs is just one of those quality assets that you can be safe and confident with and plug him into your team. And he's going to where Drake May resides now, which is very, very exciting. And if you look at the competition over there at the Patriots, not much. Hunter Henry was the guy that led them in targets last year, led them in receptions last year, which is, I mean, I had to laugh just saying it because it's just, there's so many targets and yards available now. I know they brought in some people in the draft, but Stephon Diggs is going to be best friends with Drake May. He's going to get an enormous amount of targets in the same way that when he was at the Bills, there was nobody else really there. It was Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, and that's what we've seen over and over again. I think we're going to see that once again over at the New England Patriots. I would love to go into the statistics about, Drake May and why he's going to be good. I think we've seen enough out of Drake May to know that he's going to be an excellent quarterback for Stephon Diggs. So I don't really need to get into why this is a match made in heaven. Stephon Diggs is really, really good. Drake May is really, really good. End of discussion, really, for me. And at the price point he's going at, I think he's going to be a great flag plant for this year. I actually still think next year as well, you could get a little more out of Stephon Diggs. So I think you got 1 to 2 years out of Diggs. And at the minute, he's going way, way, way down the list. You can get him far later than you should. I'm happy to reach over a round to go and get Stephon Diggs at the minute. I think he's my most drafted player in any new startups I've done. And I'm coming out of each startup with a big smile on my face because I got a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 4 prices. So loving it. James, what do you think about Stephon Diggs?
Yeah, we've seen this basically the same story last season with Diggs. I know obviously he's a year older now, but yeah, he went to the Texans and was out producing, or certainly scoring more touchdowns than those other wide receivers they had, and obviously they had Nico Collins, Tank Dell there. So yeah, we've seen it before. He has that, like you said, he's going to be Drake May's best friend. He was CJ Stroud's best friend last season in a pretty similar situation. We obviously saw a little bit more out of Stroud. At least in terms of real NFL, maybe not so much fantasy, but we saw more out of Stroud than we had with Drake May. So yeah, that just means that there's that extra discount. He's that year younger. But yeah, I'm with you. I kind of see him certainly still has the skill set, as long as those injuries haven't taken too much of a toll on him. But yeah, he can produce certainly wide receiver 2 values, scores at least. And yeah, like you said, if you can get him as a wide receiver 4 values at the moment, then yeah, that's an easy smash for you.
Yeah, Ali, what are you thinking about Stephon Diggs? I mean, at the minute he's going way with. I'm on Keep Trade Cut, and I can't even see him on the first. You have to go to the second. You have to go to the second page to find Stephon Diggs on Keep Trade Cut, which is absolutely like out of this world ludicrous. If you ask me, like he's going behind people like Jack Besh. Like, this is insanity.
Isn't he coming off a pretty nasty injury 2024?
He'll be fine.
I think it's probably related, but yeah, I like the pick. I think that for Drake May to take the next step in 2025, I think he needs Stephon Diggs to help him take that next step to go with him. And yeah, if Drake May is to take that next step as a passer, you know, he's the best weapon that he's had so far in his short career. And I think that they could be, you know, if the offense is good, functionable, obviously got a good running game going there now, then there's going to be, you know, good touchdown opportunities for Stephon Diggs. You know, if someone said he scores double-digit touchdowns this year, I wouldn't be completely surprised at all with that. So with that, it probably would be a wide receiver 2. And yeah, definitely outscore where he's being valued right now.
Can you believe he's currently ranked behind this absolute scrub Jalen Noel? Like, what is that about?
That is terrible.
I mean, it's just absolutely sacrilegious, James, isn't it?
No comment.
Absolutely love it. So Diggs is my flag plant for this year. And James, a lot of people maybe were expecting you to say Jalen Noel, but you've gone another way. Tell me about who you've gone for.
Yeah, there's only so many times we can keep going on about these rookies, Max. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
This one, James Conner, is my true flag plant. I think I picked him last, but that's just because I forgot that. You guys weren't going to take him. So yeah, he's been my basically one of my favorite fantasy players over the last few years, and last season was pretty sensational from him in terms of where you were getting him, how much you were paying to acquire him, where you were drafting him. First 16 weeks of the season, he was the running back 9 in points per game. And then he got that kind of weird injury week 16 where he ended up playing in week 17, but then didn't really play. He was on course to be a league winner, and I certainly had him in a lot of teams where I was doing well in the playoffs and got to the final. And yeah, I think fortunately I had a couple where I did start him in that week 17. I think he scored like 2 points or something, and it didn't matter. I still won the game. But yeah, it's one of those where he's now hit 30. So everyone sees that red flag. He's 30 years old, but outside of that injury right at the end of the season, he didn't miss a game last year. I think he missed a bit of time during games and things like that. But he had his career high rush yards, carries, and in total games played. So for me, that age isn't necessarily that red flag if you kind of look into those things. He's running back 31, keep trade cut, and he's behind people like Brian Robinson. And obviously I'm a Commanders fan, but do you really think that in 2026, Brian Robinson is going to score more fantasy points than James Conner? Can we be sure of that? Because he's not going to score more points than him in 2025. Obviously, these are injury dependent, these things, but there's players like David Montgomery valued significantly higher than him as well. And he's obviously not even the best running back on his own team. So I just think that if you're getting him in the 6th round of redraft, running back 31 values, it's an absolute steal. Sort of going back to that Brian Robinson thing, you could either pay the same value for someone who's going to be a running back 3 or running back 4 for you for the next maybe 3 seasons, or you can pay the same value for someone like James Conner, who's going to be a running back 2 for you for a season or 2. You're not going to be ever wanting to start Brian Robinson. Something quite drastic has to change for you to be confident sticking Brian Robinson in your lineups, but that's not the case with James Conner. And if he's valued around the same, it's just a no-brainer to me. In terms of the offense, I'm not worried about Trey Benson, really. We didn't see much out of him last year. I think maybe he'll be a bit more involved. But this is another offense where I'm really hoping that they take a step forward this season. And they didn't really add anyone else to the offense. So kind of another year, just Kyler even more healthy, getting more accustomed to the system. Hopefully there'll be more scoring opportunities for Conner, and we get another solid running back 2 season out of him. And yeah, based on where he's being drafted, that's a really solid return for a flag plant, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. No arguments for me, James Conner. One of the best buys from 2 seasons ago when people said he only had 1 year left, and here we are still talking about him today, going for another one. Ali, you a fan of James Conner?
Yeah, it's someone that I own a lot of shares of and helped me win championships last season just because of that value. You can slot him in as your running back 2, running back 3, and just gives you constant value. The workload is there. I am high on Trey Benson. I do think that he will be worked in more. I don't expect him to take over from James Conner because I think Conner needs the volume and is someone that you just let him build up and he will reward you each week. But I do think that he'll take some opportunity away this year. But yeah, just for where Connor's been ranked right now in Dynasty, he's definitely undervalued. I think that the Cardinals will surprise this year. I think their defense is looking really, really strong. They had a good draft. So I think there'll be plenty of scoring opportunities for James Conner. I'm high on Kyler Murray. We all think that Marvin Harrison Jr. can take the next step, and obviously Trey McBride is just such a great pass catching tight end. So it's all there really for these running backs to have plenty of scoring opportunities. So yeah, really do like James Conner.
Absolutely love it. And Ali, you really like your next guy, and you've got 2 big thumbs up from me. This is one of my favorite guys in the NFL.
Yeah, this is Jaden Higgins. No, this is I would love to talk about Jaden Higgins, but Jackson Smith and Jigba, this is a bit of a layup for me because he's currently ranked as a wide receiver 1 on Keep Trade Cut, although only just wide receiver 12. This is obviously my last flag plants. Chris Olave's old Ohio State teammate. This is the guy that him and Garrett Wilson they said once that Jackson Smith and Jigba is the best wide receiver of the trio. I've got him ranked as my wide receiver 10 in Dynasty, so a little bit ahead of market at the minute. I do think that there's scope for him to be top 6 or top 7 come the end of 2025. I really do think that he's going to have a massive 2025. This is a guy that played the most slot snaps in the NFL in 2024. Go back a few years and you would never, ever rank a guy that plays almost 100% in the slot as a wide receiver 1 in Dynasty, just because, that was always a bad thing. But typically now we see guys like CeeDee Lamb, like Amon-Ra St. Brown that play sort of 50% in the slot as, guys that finish really high up in fantasy. And yeah, I do think that Jackson Smith and Jigba with the situation has the ability to almost lead the NFL in targets or pace the leaders. So, Jamar Chase was up there with 170 odd targets in 2024. I think the JSN has the ability to be up there and have 170 targets in 2025. So, yeah, the quarterback position, as we've touched on it already, Sam Darnold's not great. He obviously came alive in 2024, had a great season in Minnesota. He signed that deal with Seattle. And I think he'll be fine. I think he'll absolutely be fine to target JSN, to hyper target JSN in 2025. You look at the competition, Cooper Kupp, obviously he's now come in, but he's 32 years old. He didn't look like the old Cooper Kupp, especially last season. DK Metcalf is gone. Tyler Lockett's gone. That's big competition. I've seen a lot of people concerned that DK Metcalf was the guy that was being doubled, while he was in Seattle. Will JSN be able to be doubled and still be productive? Well, there was 2 games of it last year where DK Metcalf missed 2 games through injury, and Jackson Smith-Njigba put up 249 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns in those games. So just answers that question. Yeah, very, very bullish on JSN in 2025. I've currently got him in a couple of my teams as my wide receiver 1, which I'm very, very happy about. I think that he could be top 5 this year easily. And yeah, a move that I'm trying to do right now where I've taken Travis Hunter in my rookie drafts because I think, he's a very, very good wide receiver, but he's also been ranked incredibly close to JSN in Dynasty. So if there's any managers out there that have JSN and I've got Travis Hunter, if I can, swap them straight up, I would 100% do that. Even if I had to put a little bit on top to get JSN, I would definitely do that as well. So yeah, really, really trying to target JSN before the massive breakout in 2025.
Absolutely love it. Now, James, for you, as we've discussed earlier, JSN for you stands for Jalen the Stud Noel. But what do you think of Jackson Smith-Njigba?
Yeah, we seem to be all in on the Seahawks offense this year because I'm fully in agreement on this basically. JSN, if he's your wide receiver 1 and you've been able to build out the rest of your roster in those teams, Ali, then you're absolutely laughing going into this season. I think the ceiling is absolutely there. Not that many people will necessarily be expecting him to finish sort of the top half of the wide receiver 1, but the market's already obviously looking at him as a top 12 wide receiver. So I think we're kind of already there in terms of everyone being on board with it. It's just a matter of that quarterback situation again. It seems to be with all of your picks this week, Ali. It's just whether that quarterback situation is as good as we kind of hope it would be with Sam Darnold instead of Geno. I'm kind of in the middle again. I don't think it will be as good as last year, but with that lack of competition, then there's certainly room for JSN to sort of push himself up into that wide receiver 1 category.
Absolutely love it. And we got one more, and I can't wait to talk about this guy because it's the best player in the NFL. It's Patrick Mahomes, who is being disrespected in fantasy communities right now. Let me just tell you, boys, because Patrick Mahomes is slip sliding down. And people are thinking, you know what, this guy, after last season, a career low for him, finishing as a low-end quarterback 1, and all of this absolute nonsense. Because Patrick Mahomes, let's not forget, is an absolute unicorn. Would anyone truly be shocked if he finishes quarterback 1 this year? I don't think anyone would be truly like, oh my goodness, I can't believe he did it, because it's Patrick goddamn Mahomes, guys. Of course he's going to be able to do it. Let's start off with this, shall we? Travis Kelce led the Kansas City Chiefs last year in yards with 820 yards. The lowest wide receiver, quote unquote, wide receiver 1 Patrick Mahomes has ever had. Second on that list, you had, as you would imagine, Xavier Worthy, who finished with just over 600 yards. Here's my question to you boys. Who was third?
Justin Watson, was he still about?
Oh,
He's still about. He's down the list though. It's not Justin Watson.
Sky Moore. That's a joke.
I think we had the same amount of yards as Sky Moore last year.
It wasn't Juju, was it? No.
It wasn't Juju. Juju was not far off, but no, it wasn't Juju. It was everyone's favorite backup tight end, Noah Gray.
Noah Gray.
No way.
Yeah. So that's the kind of thing that Patrick Mahomes was dealing with, where his third look was Noah Gray. And you look at other guys that did appear, some of the other weapons down the stretch that Mahomes did get. You had Kareem Hunt, who led the Chiefs in scrimmage yards, did not attend any kind of preseason prep at all. Was brought up midway through the season. DeAndre Hopkins was brought in midway through the season. Samaje Perine brought in midway through the season. Juju Smith-Schuster brought in midway through the season. Over 1/3 of the total yards the Chiefs accumulated were from players brought in midway through the season. It still got to the Super Bowl, by the way. Still managed to get to the Super Bowl when 1/3 of the team didn't even attend training camp. Like, this is the kind of talent that we're talking about here, where he can just make magic happen. And now, the third read isn't Noah Gray. The third read is last season's first read. Travis Kelce is the third read. Because the first read is a guy that's really about to break out in Rashee Rice. The second read is going to be Xavier Worthy. He's going to be new and improved and even better. The third read is going to be Travis Kelce. Oh, by the way, there's Hollywood Brown. Oh, by the way, Jalen Royals, he's kind of good. Oh, Brashad Smith used to be a wide receiver. He's going to be catching passes too. So all of a sudden, Mahomes has gone from 2 viable targets really to 6. And I don't know about you, but if you give Patrick Mahomes 6 different options, I'm taking it all day. He had over 1,000 yards less than what you would expect Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is a 5,000-yard passer. He didn't even crack 4,000 last year. He's thrown 50 touchdowns before. He threw 26 last year. The amount of growth that is there to happen is crazy. And it's all linked in as, can he get that elite receiver? We've seen the only 2 times he's not had a receiver go over 1,000 yards are the 2 times he's finished as quarterback 10. When he does have a receiver go for 1,000 yards, he is Patrick Mahomes as we expect. He can be quarterback 1 overall like he was with Tyreek Hill. He can be top 5 quarterback like we expect. I cannot see a world where if Rashee Rice stays healthy, he is getting anywhere close to under 1,000 yards. He's going to be well clear. I think he's going to go back to 2 players being 1,000 yards players like he had with Hill and Kelce. I think he's going to get either Kelce again or Xavier Worthy to crack 1,000 yards as well. And if you've got 2 players with 1,000-yard plus, you're top 5 quarterback. I don't care what anyone says. He's going to finish in the top 5. Patrick Mahomes is coming back. He's still the best player in the NFL. He's got the supporting cast back. Let's not forget about Hollywood Brown as well. He's sneakily flying under the radar. He's going to be an excellent player to come in and help Patrick Mahomes come back up, get those touchdowns as well that are all important, and return to glory at the top. And I'll be standing there holding my Fantasy Wildcard flag, waving it. Ali, what do you think about Patrick Mahomes? You gotta love the guy, right?
That's pretty epic. But I mean, point 1, he's not the GOAT. He might get there. But point 2, I just want Andy Reid to look at his offensive weapons and just say, F it. Let's go back to having fun, because the Kansas City Chiefs were a fun team when they had Tyreek Hill absolutely obliterating everybody, and he was throwing for 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards. My only concern is the fact that your defense is still incredibly good, and the fact that you got to the Super Bowl without having Mahomes needing to do any of his magic work is slightly worrying for his fantasy production, because I think that you're still going to have a really good defense. But I think that what works in your favor is the teams that are in your division have got much better offensively. And I think that they're not going to be squash matches like you typically have against the Raiders and the Broncos, teams like that. So I do think that there is going to be a need for Patrick Mahomes to work more and to put more on his plate, which he will obviously welcome. And he's just going to have more fun because, as you mentioned, he's got almost the best wide receiver cast, in his career at the Kansas City Chiefs. If you look at as a whole, and perhaps not the individual talent that he's had, but as a whole, there's a hell of a lot of weapons there. And obviously, Andy Reid's scheme is so fun. He can scheme guys open easily. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Slightly hesitant just because of the defense and the fact that he doesn't need to drop back and pass, 40 odd times a game. But it's definitely, possible for him to bounce back and have a top 5 season. Would not be surprised whatsoever.
James, so you're going to say he's going to be QB1 overall, James, right? That's what you're going to say.
What I was going to say is I really hope he isn't QB1 because you'll be insufferable. The rest of the Chiefs fans will be insufferable. We have to do with it enough if you get into the Super Bowl every year. So we don't need Patrick Mahomes to be back as the fantasy QB1. I was just looking it up, and he's one of those as well where it's the disrespect in terms of valuation which gets me. He's actually now on peak trade cut below Drake May. Which, like, I know we've obviously, we're all fans of Drake May. Look, that's gone too far. Like, there's just no world where in a startup draft you should be drafting Drake May ahead of Patrick Mahomes. That would just be crazy. So yeah, I'm certainly not as bullish as you, Mags, but yeah, top 5 is definitely possible, and he should be valued in the top 5 in Dynasty still, because you've got however many years that league is active. He's going to be starting quarterback for you, so you don't need to worry about him. Drake May, we all love him. Someone like that could be out of the league in 3 years. So yeah, it's just that kind of thing is crazy and it goes too far. Maybe not quarterback 1, but maybe on the way back.
Yeah, we absolutely love Patrick Mahomes here. Can't wait to see what happens with all of our flag plans. It's going to be really, really interesting to review that this time next year. So let's go on to our final part of the show. It's a 2-minute warning, but boys, we got a bit of a twist this time. Instead of taking listener questions, which we do love, and please put them in for next time over on X. You'll see a thread over at the Fantasy Wildcard. Instead, we're going to give you players that are ranked right beside each other in Dynasty, and you're just going to tell me which one you prefer. So, Ali, I'll pitch it to you first, and the first one is Jordan Love or Brock Purdy.
Yeah, so this is a difficult one for me. I think that I've still got. Well, firstly, they're in the same tier. I've still got Jordan Love ahead of Brock Purdy. Maybe even just like 1 spot or 2 spots, but I think that the upside for Jordan Love is higher than it is for Brock Purdy. But I can absolutely see a scenario where someone would go with Brock Purdy ahead of Jordan Love, just because I think that people trust the Kyle Shanahan system a bit more. I think that Brock Purdy has been more productive, more consistently than Jordan Love, where Jordan Love gives you, a big 3 touchdown game, but then he'll follow up with 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and just have a bit of a dud game. So I think Brock Purdy's steadier, but give me Jordan Love just because I think the ceiling's slightly higher.
James, who's ahead for you?
Yeah, same. I can see, if you're looking for a consistent quarterback 2 type, then you take Brock Purdy, I think, for the sort of reliability. But I don't have it that close. I think I probably have about 4 or 5 players between them if I was to rank them out. So Jordan Love for me. Yeah,
I'll take Jordan Love as well, even though he's got trash like Matthew Golden to throw to. So anyway, let's move on to our next pair of quarterbacks, which is Michael Penix or Jared Goff. This is a really interesting one. James, let's go to you first.
Yeah, again, I'm going to take. Well, sorry, not again. I don't know what I'm getting at there. I'm taking Jared Goff because I'm taking the player that I can just trust is going to be around. It's similar to the Mahomes point. It's obviously nowhere near on the same level, but Jared Goff is going to be a starting quarterback for the Lions for multiple seasons. And obviously we've seen 3 games of Michael Penix. We have no idea. Like, it's all positive. Like, everything's pointing in the right direction. But if I was to be drafting in a startup, I can see it being a tough decision. I'm hoping that neither of these are sort of. I'm hoping for quarterback 1 numbers from. But I'll be taking the reliable Goff over Penix in this one.
Ali, what do you think?
Yes, I've got these quarterback 19 and quarterback 20, so back-to-back with Goff 1 ahead. And Goff has been sort of almost a mid-quarterback 1 the last couple of seasons in a row. So I think James is right. I don't think you can expect that. But if you were to get, like a quarterback 13 season out of him, I think you'd be happy with that. I think Penix is still a bit of a project. But I just lean Goff just for the consistency.
I'll take Goff as well for a point. None of you boys mentioned Michael Penix is really old. Like, he came out really old. Like, he's not your stereotypical sophomore player. I think he'll be 26 by the season starts. Jared Goff is 30. So there's not that huge. If it was Michael Penix is 21, then you're maybe thinking, okay, I've got that age gap is maybe too hard to ignore, but I think there's like a 3-4 age gap between them. So I'll take Jared Goff as well in that debate. Now a battle of two former Dynasty running back ones, Jonathan Taylor and Breece Hall. I mean, you kind of made a face there, James. Kind of like, oh, I don't know, like neither, but they both got their quirks. What are you thinking on that one?
Yeah, is there an option for neither? It's one of those where, like, I'll definitely take Breece Hall over Jonathan Taylor, but I really hope I'm not having to make that decision. I think there's just too many question marks for both of them, both their offenses, both of them in terms of bad production in parts over the last few seasons. So yeah, I'll take Breece Hall because he's that little bit younger. We've seen it a little bit more recently. I think Jonathan Taylor had a really strong finish to last season, but yeah, we just don't know what we're going to see out of him in that offense. So yeah, I'll just take Breece Hall and run away.
Ali,
I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor. I think that Breece Hall, the ceiling is higher for Breece Hall. If he was to be given, the full workload that Jonathan Taylor does, then Breece Hall will finish ahead of him. But I'm slightly concerned about Breece Hall's workload and sort of him being in more of a timeshare than what Jonathan Taylor will be. So give me Taylor, but yeah, it's close.
Yeah, that's very close. The Jets being the Jets will probably fire their head coach, and Breece Hall will get a bigger workload. Like, I'll take Breece Hall, just thinking that someone will just be like, let's just give him the ball because he's the most talented player we have. Although, Justin Fields and Breece Hall, it does worry me a little bit. But I'll just take Breece Hall. But again, I'm not happy about choosing between those two. Right. Next up, pretty easy choice for me in this one. Actually, I'm surprised they're ranked beside each other. It's Josh Jacobs or Quinshon Judkins. For me, it's Judkins all day. Ali, I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's Judkins for me. Obviously, someone's going to go, well, if I was rebuilding, I'd go Judkins and I'd be selling Josh Jacobs, who's 28 years old. But yeah, I really, really like Judkins. I think he's underrated. I think nearly everybody has Trevion Henson above him, but slightly the opposite. I have Judkins ahead. I think he's going to have a massive workload straight away from his rookie season. So give me Judkins.
James, you're nodding your head. You in agreement?
Yeah. Exactly the same. Move on.
Yeah, absolutely. An easy one, and maybe a less easy one now. Both absolute dynasty darlings. It's Puka Nacua and Brian Thomas Jr. Ali, I'll pitch it back to you again. Where do you go with this one? This is tricky, but I think I've got an answer clear in my head. Who have you got?
Yeah, wide receiver 6, wide receiver 7 in my ranking. So it is back to back. I've got Brian Thomas Jr. one spot ahead, just because I think he's a better prospect. I think that the ceiling is higher. I think that Puka is amazing. I absolutely love him. I want him on all my teams. But I just think that Brian Thomas Jr. Hopefully puts it together with Trevor Lawrence, because we didn't really see it. We only saw it when Mac Jones came into the lineup. I think that he has a slightly higher ceiling, and he could get himself into that Justin Jefferson tier, whereas I think Puka Nacua has probably reached the ceiling for what he can do. James,
who are you taking?
Yeah, I agree with what Ali said, but my lean is the other way. And I would take Puka if I was choosing between the two. I think, like you said, that ceiling, it just feels one of the type of player where Brian Thomas just feels like he has that higher ceiling just because of the way he plays and everything like that. Those deep catches and things. But if for fantasy, I don't think the ceiling is for Puka is that different. But so. Yeah, that's kind of why in sort of fantasy PPR leagues, like most of what we play, I would just take Puka because there's those question marks about Brian Thomas with Trevor Lawrence. We've only seen him for one season, whereas we've got a bit more history with Puka. So yeah, if I was doing a draft, I would be taking Puka, but it's very close.
Yeah, I'd just take Puka as well. The Travis Hunter situation just pokes Puka slightly ahead for me because I think Hunter will command quite a lot of targets on like Puka doesn't have too much competition over there. So I'd just take him, but I'm delighted with both. Next up, speaking of Travis Hunter, he's next on the list. Would you take him or A.J. Brown? James, this is tricky. We still have question marks about Travis Hunter and A.J. Brown getting older. So what are you thinking?
Yeah, for me, it's not that tricky. I'll take AJ Brown. I think every day of the week. You say he's getting older, but he's one of those where he's not as old as you think. I don't think he's 28 maybe. It's not that bad. So yeah, I think it's another one where he's kind of seen his value drop so much every year because he gets that little bit older, and I feel like it's just gone a little bit too far. I'd probably have him maybe 4 or 5 spots ahead of someone like Travis Hunter, where we don't even know what position he's going to be playing, how much is he going to be playing, and scoring us fantasy points. It's just too early for me to rank him near someone like AJ Brown until I've seen him on the field.
Ali, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I'll keep it sweet. AJ Brown's wide receiver 12 for me, and Travis Hunter's wide receiver 18. So give me AJ Brown. I think that Travis Hunter will be productive, from his rookie season, but I think that as time goes on and he gets more acclimatized with the NFL, he will play more and more defensive snaps. So give me AJ Brown, who's consistently just incredible when he's on the field.
Love it. I'll take AJ Brown as well there for sure. We got 2 sets of tight ends to end up. First up, just one word answer from you on these boys, okay? So let's see what you can do. George Kittle or Tyler Warren? Ali, which one?
Kittle for me.
James?
Kittle
for me as well. And finally, Tucker Kraft or David Njoku? James, let's go to you first.
Kraft.
Ali.
Ooh. Njoku.
I'm gonna go just to because I know Kev's listening. Just to stick it to him one last time. I'm going Kraft. I'm gonna go with Kraft. I know Kev's screaming Njoku at the screen, so I'm gonna go with Tucker Kraft to round us up. And boys, that brings us to the end of another amazing Flag Plant shows. Some of my favorite shows of the season. Always love doing these. It's been a hell of a ride. Ali, any closing remarks before we head out of here?
I'll have a small one and then a big one. Firstly, I can't wait to watch this back in a few months' time to see how our picks have got on. And then second of all, congratulations for next week, and hope it all goes well, Mags, because we're gonna miss you over the next few weeks. But I know you're gonna have an amazing time, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mia. That's very, very kind. I can't wait. Yeah, next week, the big day, the big wedding. So it's going to be very exciting. James, any final remarks from you?
Not a lot other than hope it goes well and you get that steak medium rare, and it all goes well. Yeah.
Absolutely, it'll be absolutely great. And thanks to you boys for those kind words, and thanks to everyone at home for watching as well. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Of course, we've nailed every single pick. You are welcome for drafting all of these players that we've told you to. But just remember that when you have the wild card, you have the power to change the game. Next time you see me, I'll have a ring on my finger. That's weird, right? See you later. Bye.